You
Okay,
know,
because
process is. They just left right away and they'll see what happens.
Yeah,
All right,
good luck to them.
we're gonna,
Hi, Amy.
start the meeting. Amy,
Hello.
thanks for joining us. I'll start the meeting with a motion to approve the minutes from our April 10th meeting. Can I get a second on
I
that?
second it.
Anybody have any comments, issues?
There was one typo, but I forget what it was now. It's a four-letter word that. Not that kind of. word.
Yeah.
I know.
When you find it, let me know and we'll get it
It was,
changed.
Yeah. So, yeah, no,
Well,
there was-
Hearing none other than that, all in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand, say aye, whatever you feel like. Great.
yeah.
Anybody opposed? All right, thank you.
I noticed that Hugh Rogers is spelled correctly, but Gil Rogers is not spelled correctly.
Oh, you know what?
Isn't that funny?
I have caught that a bunch of times.
Yeah, no, it's-
But I just. I
No
think-
D,
I
no
think
D.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Mandy's got it on like some old template.
Yeah,
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 so-
must
so-
be
oh,
something.
that wasn't a typo though, right?
No,
I'll let her,
looking,
I will let her know. All right.
that's more than a
Thank you.
four-letter word.
All right, so I just wanted to take a few minutes to review how Earth Day and the newsletter, any feedback people got on the newsletter
Oh,
on Earth
people
Day?
raved about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard some good
Raved
things
about
too.
it.
That was great.
Yeah,
So thank you all, for helping put it together. Michelle, thank you for getting it out there. Appreciate that. That was great. And it's on our website now too, so you can go there and see it.
Yeah.
Which
No,
was
no,
great.
people
So thank you, Amy. That
Said,
worked out great.
It was really,
people made a
Well
point to talk to
what
us.
did, Yair said it was accurate, it was factual, and it was an informative.
That's,
That's the same thing I heard too. And Michelle was there witnessing some of the positive feedback also.
yeah. When I
It
was
was
there in
great.
the app for the 12 to 2, we had a bunch, well, maybe 12 to 1:30.
Yes.
Because by then people, there was not much left, but people were very,
Yeah, that's awesome. I
had some
mean,
good comments about
Yeah.
it, so that was
Yeah.
great. So I'd like to see about doing something.
Another one.
Just for, assuming the budget passes, by the way, the town budget vote next Thursday at 7:30, so in here, so if you can come, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we put in $10,000 for sustainability for next year. We had 5,000 this year, which went to basically the newsletter. What's that?
now that we have $10,000.
Yep.
Could we spend a little money on no mow May signs?
Well, that's for
I
next
have
May.
one left,
But
if
next,
anybody wants.
right now, we've used up
You
the
want-
money we
you
have
have
in the
I
budget.
have one left
Right.
in my car.
No,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was,
Take it.
I was gonna ask, so the total for this newsletter was $4,565.58. That includes mailing, printing and design. Which leaves us 400 and change. So I would say,
Yeah,
I was gonna actually ask the committee, Garden Palooza is coming up in 2 weeks, which I wanted to talk about. But, we set up as a sustainability committee at events
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
times a year. Most of the stuff that I had, I use the displays, I use them for my EDC table, or I use it for art, and I just reuse them. But I was wondering if we wanted to get a tablecloth. We have that little banner, I safety pin it to the front, but I could get a tablecloth that has that, and then the banner could go on a tent, is there anything else?
Oh, I see, sure,
yeah,
use it.
so we're ready.
For
when
the
we're
stay,
ready. Yeah, I think
for our on the road,
Probably make
I
it
think that's
easy.
a great idea, and,
so no mow May signs.
yeah. you have-
I love the idea of a tablecloth also, but I think I'd like to get some no idling campaign signs made, so we don't just use one and bring it in different locations, something friendly
Yeah.
that we could design or
Yep. I have
Walk
it
in.
on our agenda to talk about, but I think that's a good idea. I think what I'd like to do, if we have some. Amy, you've seen the one over in Bethlehem in front of the town hall, and I think you sent some other examples. I think what I feel we need to do is that we can get some examples together and talk with Jim and Dean and the Board of Selectmen and pick out something that we think is appropriate.
Okay,
Kevin and his group have people that make signs, so we can easily have them put them up and all that too, so.
I had-
Permanent ones I'm thinking of, Amy, as opposed to moving them around.
I agree.
Amy, I had a question about, on the sign, it says not to idle more than a certain amount of time.
Right.
It's- It seemed to
Mhm.
me that you were giving people permission to idle for like 4 minutes or 5
It's,
minutes.
3
it's,
minutes.
yeah,
It's the
3 minutes.
statute.
Statute.
So that's where we can, that's why.
We could do that, or we could just do something that just says, no unnecessary idling.
I know Dean, when we talked about this stuff at the Board of Selectmen, Dean's always wants to be positive on the sign. Like,
Mhm.
and like we did on our sign that we did, that we move around, it's mostly, here's some
Right.
information why you should.
I think the tag that we said, go idle free.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I like that, but I also like the idea that
Not idle.
Bethlehem has that says,
Doesn't
state
have the word no.
statute says no idling more than 3 minutes. I mean, I kind of like that.
That's all right.
It's a little carrot and stick. I don't know if you want to look at it that way, but,
FYI.
so I do kind of like that idea because it does give some credence to why 3 minutes is what, the max you should
Yeah.
do. And then we give information about what the effect of it is
Yeah.
and why we're doing that.
Yeah,
I think that would be the place to,
Yeah.
bring an example to the Board of Selectmen, because then you're running into the sign issues, but I think also having a few ideas of where we would put it, like.
Yeah.
And when we ordered the parking signs for EDC, they were amenable to putting it on existing signs, but the idea of adding posts was not. But there are plenty of signs to do that, like we have some out front. Where like on the back of the post is there for the stop sign or the median sign or the whatever, and you attach it to the other.
Yeah,
I mean, depending if they're in the right place, obviously.
And I think, I would think that. A small, this regular size sign, and it doesn't, I'm just thinking here in the depot, doesn't have to be on a. Cars pull in right at their eye level, not at a 6 foot level, but at
Right.
so it's lower and it's not really. Obtrusive, if you will, in the
Yeah.
plaza, and I know other places might require, I'm thinking in the back. We're in front of, the pantry in that area there and put, if they're on, the size that you'd see when you drive in. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that would, I don't think that would be terrible, but, and I don't know where other places, whether it's, people, I guess in Preston, wherever it is, but I guess the idea would be to come up with a couple of designs. Couple of what we think should be said on that is, Amy, are you, can you do that? Give us 2 or 3 designs and then I'll, I'm happy to, work with. I don't think Jim has any objection to it. I just think we need to find a way to do it so it's not, we want it in your face, but not too much in your face,
Right, right. Yeah, like, they're not gonna want us to put them everywhere,
yeah,
right? There's visual clutter issues too, but a couple of key spots.
okay, yeah, I'll come
And
up with a couple of options.
I would definitely include the state statute on it, gives you leverage. Anybody pushes back, hey,
Yeah.
we're trying to do this nice and friendly, but the reason we're doing this is also not just the ecological sense and the waste and gas sense, but also, it's our obligation to uphold state statutes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, I do agree, Brian. I think I think we gotta mention that for sure, because it gives it more clout. For sure. Okay, and Carol, you have a no mow May sign that a place where you can get some additional signs, did you say?
I couldn't remember where we even got them.
All right,
The Northwest
Oh, that's
Conservation,
right,
oh,
yeah.
okay,
yeah.
so we could,
and you can order them online,
Yeah.
or
Well,
there's
now,
a,
can you,
now that it's just about over, then
yeah,
now
we
we have
could, but it's a
a
chance to
year
be,
to get 'em,
we could get
so-
some and
Yeah.
use them again, yeah, next year.
Exactly.
I was
Oh.
also thinking about, we could consider altering the exact phrase of no mow May into something that's a little bit more accurate for what the pulse seems to be moving a little bit more toward less mowing, set your mowing standards high, you know, you set your levels high, rotate your mowing. I mean, there could be, before we spend money, on that, we should consider probably being a little bit more. I mean, so that all kind of came out during COVID, but we are trying to do more rotations and be mindful about our mowing habits.
There was
So
a
I
lot
think,
of conversation about that at the Earth Day table, people asking about that, and like the philosophy's kind of changing, or
Well,
there's
mhm,
new thinking on.
That's
No
something to
moment.
write an article
Did you?
about for our next newsletter.
True.
And
Steve Rock Steve Rock had a number of guidelines that, Brian, you'd know, right? In
Yeah,
the-
we softened our approach because when
Yeah.
I basically did no mow spring, and when I tried to mow in June 1st, I had to brush hog my lawn. It was neat, it was waist high. So, you know, it's selective cutting, avoid the flowers until they bloom out, rotational cutting, cut some areas once a week for my dog, other areas every maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks. So just to kind of give the what's blooming and what's coming in a chance. Even
So-
though most of it is non-native.
Right.
Flexibility built in instead of just no mow.
Right, right.
And then.
Because then you get pushback. I can't get through my yard.
mhm. You really have to know your property, you know, you have to get to know what you can let go and where to rotate. And like you said,
Yeah.
leaving the blooms that you want to encourage. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in our May newsletter.
So my thought would be that now, and what Carol's point said, you know, it's, we're, if we buy signs now and get them out, it's too late at this point.
Right. It is
So
too
do
late
we
now.
make sure that in February, we start talking about putting out some informational material, some educational material then? And we can hone down what we exactly want to say, whether it's no mow or whether it's, you know, whatever the wording is.
It's tough because no mow is so catchy.
Yeah.
It
But
is
I
catchy.
feel like, and it's easy to,
But-
but it's not really the.
Well, we could
picture.
explain what no mow May is. I mean, it'd be a good article with the rotate, you know, what is the whole point? What are
Right.
the advantages? How do we do this?
How do
Yeah.
There are
you?
a lot of ways to do this.
So let's hold off on that then and plan, and
Yeah.
we'll make sure it's in our agenda to talk about maybe after the first of the year, so we can
Yeah.
get stuff organized and get it out there by time the season starts, and with some educational information. I think
I
those
mean, we
things
do
Brian
have an
mentioned.
article on,
My wife would be
Yeah.
much happier if I was not letting my lawn go for the whole month, you know,
I think
So,
the
a lot of
article,
rain, I'm getting a lot of pressure already, you know, so.
but this article hit on
The
a lot.
article-
Yeah, there is a good, yeah,
that we wrote, it says, try not to mow for a couple, you know.
yeah,
first
whatever
couple-
you can do,
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever you can do, you know, and, I mean, no mow May could mean that.
yeah.
No mow May means as much. as you
Selective
can
mow.
select-
Yeah,
that's a
right,
good-
right,
Selective
right.
mowing.
Yeah, I
Maybe
like
do
that.
it.
We
Little
can just
article.
redefine it, still keep the phrase, but
Because the
just
phrase
say,
is, like you said, it's catchy.
it's catchy, it's simple, but, right, like if,
Yeah.
for some places, if you don't mow for all of May, you're actually gonna wreck all of your
That happened.
grass, cause it's too long,
Yeah.
and not all of us have a bush hog,
Yeah.
so.
All right, so any
Um,
other thoughts about how to spend our $400? I think I have the school district mentality that every dollar the public gave to me for school, my goal was to spend it all. by
Right,
the
well,
time-
it's like if we,
So,
right, we lose
it is-
it if we
sure,
don't.
How
Yeah,
about paying for more water tests for people, or giving them a discount?
well, we'd have to do that in the next 2 months. It's gotta be money we can spend before the end
Before,
of,
it has
end
to
of
be
June.
invoiced before.
And you know,
So that's why I like these signs idea. you know,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
WEC did that. We gave people,
yeah, yeah,
and a lot of people didn't want to take it. They said, nah,
that's great.
you know,
Which is nice.
so we just, it was interesting who wanted it and who didn't. But,
The discount?
yeah, they said, oh no, go
Some people
donate
can't
it to, you know,
Yeah, well,
a
that's great.
donation, and it was fine, it was
Yeah,
fine.
that's
That's
good.
good.
So you
So,
did end up using your $400 allotment, right?
most of it, not all of it.
Oh, okay.
I have a suggestion if we have more money. Why don't
Yeah.
why don't we order some vinyl stickers or something that our residents would pick up at, you know, fairs and activities that we might be displayed at that support Washington sustainability, just come up with a simple logo. Um, just as an idea, I don't know if that grabs anybody, but I love stickers and people love stickers these days. They're putting them on their computers.
How about pens or pencils?
There was one of those.
More pens? Yeah, sure.
Magnets.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's a good idea.
Maybe you and I can,
Let's talk about it. Well, and
Yeah.
let's think about it. Everybody think about it. Send me some ideas.
Yeah.
Okay,
We would need to do it by the next meeting.
yeah, we gotta get it done, right?
But I like the idea.
All right,
I also would just say, as part of the review of Earth Day.
Yeah.
The feedback on the newsletter was fantastic, but people also who were coming through for Earth Day, they really appreciated all of the education we're doing about the transfer station and the initiatives, the
Yeah.
recycling.
Yeah.
And everything, they were checking out the bag stuff, and then I went to Montessori's. Earth Day.
Yeah.
On Monday, and it was the trash stuff that they were mostly interested in. Are we gonna talk about the plastic?
yep,
Is that on the agenda?
Yes, we are. I didn't put it on there, but we're gonna.
Well, because,
Yeah.
so Montessori is gonna do a collection of their own
Yeah.
at school,
Yeah,
and then they're gonna bring it to us.
okay, well, we should, let me,
So
Let
I
me know
will
who's-
facilitate
yeah,
that,
yeah.
Nora.
We can
who's
get 'em
one of
up.
their-
get them a box. I mean, I can order more of those boxes that we have.
That's great, she was gonna like
Yeah.
homemake one.
No, no.
But, oh, cool, I'll email Nora and let her know that we can get them a
Well,
box.
since we're on that, we just could, if anything else about WEC or anything, had any thoughts about Earth Day, anything more that you
you know, we invited the kids from Chappaq
Yeah.
to,
yeah.
show their stuff and that's always kind of fun.
I
And
talked to
they
what-
did a great
yeah.
job.
Oh,
These two
that.
kids.
Yeah.
they-
the
We
young
ended up
man was
giving
Still there, the other, I think it was
Cameron Getner and Nathan Fry. was his name.
Yeah, so Nathan was doing the diesel fuel and Cameron was doing
The sugar
maple-
bush, the maple syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Hey,
Cool.
Monique,
Enough,
if there's any chance next year you can do it on a different day than Woodbury, because we had to split our team. And we may
Yeah,
have
yeah.
lost some Washington folks going to Woodbury's Earth Day.
they have a huge number. of
They were
people.
the same day and same time, so
Yeah.
All right, so we should find out ahead of time when,
I mean, it's the Saturday that's closest to Earth
Earth
Day,
Day,
so it's like,
well, they moved it up because previous years it was like the last Saturday in April, but now they had a change in their organizers. It's now Woodbury Parks and Rec. And they put it on the 20th, so they moved it up.
Right. And
Or
it's
they
a big shindig.
Traditionally have it.
Yeah, they have,
well,
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
big
we
deal
had
to go to that.
5,000
It's-
people down there.
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be easy.
I would
Yeah,
love to go.
People were asking our table, where's Steep Rock? We said Washington, and they kept telling us, oh, that's too far for us to drive. Well, we asked them where they lived and they said Woodbury. And so it was like, you live in Woodbury, but Washington's too far to drive. Okay.
That's funny.
all right, anything else about Earth Day or our newsletter? If not, we were talking about plastic bags there. I'll just give you an update. I brought my first load of plastic bags that we collected at the transfer station over to Big Y, because that's our partner there that we can bring them to. I hadn't talked to them in 2 months, so I went over there and saw them. They were great still, no problems, very easy drop off. And 3 bags collected up at the transfer station that a total of 40 pounds of
Wow.
plastics. And 3 of those bags that we're putting in up here.
Yeah,
Wow. 2 or 15 pounds, one was 10 pounds, so
nice.
that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Michelle just mentioned Montessori, which that's great, and we're going to the Washington Business Association on Monday morning to talk, they have an interest in it also. I think they're,
I think is it Monday?
next, 2, is it this Monday? I think so.
Anyway, I'll
You know me, you'll have to let me-
clarify that.
If I show up at 8 o'clock at something, you know.
And Rumsey Hall is trying to do, Rob Brenner, do you know Rob Brenner? He's on WEC, but
Yeah.
he's trying to make connections with the school and
Well, if you want,
things like
yeah,
that.
get in
So
touch
I'm
with us.
gonna
Right,
mention,
it is Monday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him, because he'd be interested in the
Yeah.
plastic bag thing.
So I think the Business Association had a particular interest in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Because bubble wrap's on the list.
I just wanted to share, it's interesting, because Fran was really worried, Fran Kilty of the Hickory Stick about like space. And I brought the sample of the plastic, I brought it over to Montessori and the kids flattened all the bubble wrap and had a huge blast with that. So
It was entertainment.
oh, yeah, so
That's-
I'm thinking summer,
All
Parks and
right.
Rec summer camp
Yeah.
or the after-school program, and we need to like, if there's a space issue with the bubble wrap,
It is-
Bubble wrap bonanza.
right? Just jump on it,
interesting.
they had it in the hallway. It was-
There you
they
go.
had- They had a
All
blast.
right, well,
I wished I'd had more bubble wrap. It was
That's
the most
easy.
exciting
I-
thing.
Oh, that's
I got
awesome.
so much in my basement that, so whenever I have a bag full, I take a couple pieces of the bubble wrap and stick it in there, so I'm trying to weed myself off and
That's-
get rid of some.
that's
of it,
funny.
but That's funny.
Well, you
That's
never
great.
know, it's gonna be entertaining.
I
Yeah, I didn't
know.
hear, I can look it up on that. They have a website which anybody can go to. I don't know if I brought it with me, but
I brought one of the flyers.
yeah, there's, we have this plot, right?
Yeah.
And all. I don't remember reading anything like where you had to flatten out bubble wrap or anything,
No,
so.
it just takes more space. If
Yeah,
we're like
right,
having
exactly,
issues
sure.
with space,
The-
the kids have fun with it.
And they're asking when we bring it over there, that 2 or 3 bags at a time, so they don't want, dropping off 50 bags over
Yeah.
there. And the interesting, you have to take a picture of the bags, because you have to upload that at the same time as you go in and tell them how much they weigh. So they have to they want a picture of what you did, so.
I will also say I've had a lot of people ask questions about like what's acceptable and what's not. Denise Arturi came to my office.
Yep.
Yesterday maybe, and we went on to the Next Tracks, and watched the video
Yeah.
because she was asking about food, the plastic that food stuff comes in, and the best guideline, and it was in the Next Tracks video, is if it's got a stretch to it, like if there's any kind of stretch, it's okay. So things that are not like the cereal bag
Yeah,
that's inside the box of cereal, there's like,
Yeah.
they said if it's crinkly or it won't stretch, that's not the right kind of plastic and you can't put it in.
so we should
So
be.
that cereal bag wouldn't.
It would not be, and it also said
Cereal
like
bag, they
frozen.
say cereal bags on there. Yeah. Cereal box liners.
Yeah,
What
that's
is a
it.
cereal box liner? That's
That's what it is.
Then the video said no, and they said no to the plastic that frozen food comes in,
Cause that's always the thing,
which
yeah.
some of
That's-
it's crinkly and some of it's stretchy, so it's a little confusing.
Cereal box.
Saran wrap
liner.
kind of thing would be. as long as
Saran
it-
is, anything that's
And one of the
stretchy.
things we did have an issue with
So
up
that's
at the,
not
up
clear.
at the,
It is-
transfer station, and Liz is good about it, is somebody tried to put stuff in, it was, what was it for? It's on this list here.
They have,
Case overwrap, and they mentioned specific wood pellet bags. And somebody brought some up there, but there was still wood pellets in the bag, and so they gotta be clean also, you
Right,
can't be taking
exactly.
saran
All the
wrap.
mulch bags they could go if they were washed, the
Right,
mulch
right,
bags.
exactly. They're just,
Right, right.
yeah, exactly,
and
so,
I think that when I went online, they had more things, cause I was thinking also
Yeah.
about the mulch or straw, the plastic
Well, I wonder if
bags
we
that
could-
come in.
how long's the video?
I was like a minute and a half or
I
something.
wonder
It
if
was
we could
pretty
do
short,
that
I think.
and mention about our experience here for the first couple of weeks in the selectmen's newsletter and attach the video to
Oh,
that people
The
can
link to
watch.
the video.
And we could put it on the website
Yeah,
too.
that's true, that's
Yeah, let's
good.
do that.
Okay,
That's a great idea. I love that.
So I
More
think
information, the better.
it's good to hear that other groups are wanting to get involved, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
People are excited.
Yeah.
They've been storing this stuff. It's
Well,
been
they want
really-
guidance.
That's why I have
Yeah.
4 boxes of bubble wrap in
I
my
know,
basement.
right?
I don't
So
know what to do with
it's
this.
good.
How much can you wrap up and, yeah,
Well, if you can provide a clear structure and repeat it over and over again, I think it'll catch on. I mean, the repetition is so key.
I think people
It's got
want
plenty.
to do right.
it's,
Yeah, they do. Well, and they said, which we always say, if in doubt, throw it out. Like,
Yeah.
don't contaminate it if
Right.
you're
Yeah, you can make a
unsure.
mess, I
Right.
mean, my brother had a business and, they have the conveyor belts
Yeah.
and people stand there and they have to kind of take stuff that doesn't
Yes.
belong, but you can mess, a piece of plastic messes it up.
Yeah, sure.
It's real easy to stop the whole
Container,
production.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll find that they're short
yeah, so
little.
maybe we can do something with that and just an
Video.
update on what's going on with that, that's great.
I think it's amazing though that 40 pounds, it hasn't even been a full month.
And that, they had those 3 bags filled and they had an
That's
empty
nice.
one.
That's great.
What are we
So,
shooting for? $1,000 for a bench?
1,000 pounds.
1,000, I mean,
Yeah,
1,000 pounds per bench.
bench. So,
So all this plastic, we can now.
yeah,
recycle
yeah,
and,
you know, the bin here, now and another thing we should say, it's helpful if you take your bags and stuff them as much as you can into one bag instead of a whole bunch of them just loose.
Oh,
'Cause
okay,
it
yeah, yeah,
takes up more space and we're trying to get as much as we can. So if you
inside, yeah.
take one of your bigger Amazon bags or whatever it is and just shove
Yep.
all the
Shove it,
stuff in there
yeah.
first. Once that's filled, drop it off or, keep it, so. All right, well, that's great. That seems to be working well. We're gonna go to the updates, water testing. You wanna update us on
You
how
know,
that went?
Nothing different, than from last time. I've upcoming tests for May, June, July and August, but single one each time. And the only measurement that came up was Canoe Brook right here. Back in, I don't know, February, I'd have to consult. Oh, I've got it here, but, yeah, everything's,
So you've done it so far 3 or 4,
I think, what, 4 times?
4
Let me
times.
just- I got that.
and they're looking for 8 times in a year, right? Is that?
Yeah.
what I remember?
8, yeah.
And so far the results have been,
I've done it,
Good.
3 times,
okay,
yeah. So, twice in February, because they had January, February, so the test kit didn't arrive till very late, so I got 2 in at the end of February. And then April, they wanted to skip March, so April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, so,
great.
yeah,
And nothing.
no, nothing to report, no, I mean,
That's great.
only one came up that was high enough to register, so
Yep.
everything else is below, even registering,
Great.
yeah.
Brian, I know you guys are you doing some additional testing on Chapag in your properties of water testing? You gotta sound,
I don't recall everything that we test for. Rory's running that. I don't think we test for salt.
okay. And how about you with the people that turned in, how many people did we get? I got.
37, wasn't it?
I think it was 37, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
And some
Oh,
people,
glad you brought
water
that up.
had bacteria in it, as the lab called them and said,
yeah,
don't
Wow.
drink your water.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, that's great.
that's
so I
amazing.
sent you 2 guys the file from
Yeah,
Beth. And so we want to print that out and put it in a binder.
yeah, I think we should
Yeah, I actually didn't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw
I
it,
mean,
I was like.
okay.
The one thing and maybe I missed it, but I couldn't find on the report they sent me, what the standards were. There was one place they mentioned it, but most of the things, they didn't give you a range, yeah, the other, so I don't know if we could ask her
I bet we could.
for that.
Let's-
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
at
know
my,
the range is listed on the. It's listed on the list of elements of the test. I'm pretty sure.
well, I don't
And
have the
didn't
other.
get my, it's so weird, I didn't get my email.
I'll go back, but if you.
You
can
didn't
look-
get that? Oh, okay,
I'll have to
I'll send it
look.
to you. You got
If
it.
you look, yes, but if
Yeah.
you look at the 3 reports, they sent 3 reports to you. I think 2, one, your report, and then a list of what the stuff was, but it didn't give you. In most of the categories, what the range was, what it was acceptable. So I went back and looked at the last test I had, which was a different lab to try to figure out what the
Right,
ranges
right,
were.
right.
So
Let's look for that again, Hugh.
I would venture to not use York again, just because I didn't think that they were as clear, like what Jay was just mentioning, that the MCL wasn't all that clear on where to find it. I left them 2 messages. They didn't get back to me. I had to call our water guy to have him interpret it for us. So I mean, if there is another option, I would consider that, or tell them that, I don't know, I feel like we're sort of important when we have 37 people come at our
Yeah,
marketing on this.
Yeah,
Anyway, just a consideration.
they could update for us.
Yeah. and
But
send
that's
it out
also
there.
important, you know, that's also important feedback to tell them
Yeah,
that we are looking for this
Yeah.
information and we didn't get it, and, we want more predictable service. I think that's
yeah,
important for
yeah,
them
if we wanna
to.
use them again, we need, this
Right.
is, need, so if you would follow up with them, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
It's like I was expecting it to look like a Quest lab result where I knew the range and I knew if I was high or low in that
Yeah.
range, and it wasn't intuitive data.
Glad-
That's
I'm
how
glad you say-
Technologies used to do it.
Yeah,
And so
that's how I
maybe we
got
need
the
to
other, the
request a
old
different
reports that
result.
were like that, and that's why I pulled them out to see, okay, what do these numbers mean?
Right.
Yeah, so that.
And it
that-
wasn't cheap. I mean, our tests were not cheap, you know, even if I didn't take you up on the money either, but you know, I am a
Yeah.
consumer,
Yeah,
so.
There was no range posted on your results.
nope.
Well,
No,
that's-
there
I'm
was
glad you
something
said
that
Amy,
that said
I
if it's greater than or less than. Do you remember there was like, when it took a while to figure out which is the right column, and it wasn't for every line.
No, it only had it for a few. There wasn't every
Yep.
line at all in there, and I
Oh,
went online and
okay.
looked it up in a couple of cases, cause I didn't, even the chloride and the sodium, I don't think they mentioned that on the
Well,
report. I
on
had to
that,
look.
on that, right.
Yeah,
They
I had to look it up to see what after I saw that number I had, oh, I should look, and it was fine, you know, it's in the range, way below the, you know, the problem, but still, they didn't provide that, and if they have that, if they could send that out to everybody who did a test now, that would be.
Well, I
helpful.
think we need to request it. If that's
Yeah.
what we're looking for, I mean, we're paying for data.
Yeah.
We need to have the data we want.
Seems to
Yeah.
make
We
sense.
want it to be digestible and we want the ranges, yeah.
Informative and useful,
Yep.
right? This was supposed to help people.
Yeah,
Make decisions. I just wanted to share on that. I heard this, and I don't know that it's true, but maybe we can find out. Because we were talking about water quality, because we were talking about the the water bottle filler that we just installed at Judy Black, which is so exciting. It's been like a 3-year
oh, is it fun?
project, finally. But we gotta run it, we were gonna test the water, and I was talking about York Lab, and we were talking about the depot water and how there's Aquarian, but they have 2 wells, and Wickham and the Green are on one of the wells, but the one in the depot, and this was just what somebody said, I don't know that it's true, but the well, I've seen the well cover, it's right by Titus Garage, and apparently that is historically super high sodium. Probably because, I mean, we used to
It's
store
where
the
they store
salt
the
out
salt,
there.
Yeah,
So it's interesting because I don't know how many I know that's the water here at Town Hall, I think it's all at the depot.
We were testing private wells, not municipal systems, never
Right,
you said it
right.
But I, and I don't know if Mark, I don't know if we test our water.
I'll ask
but it
Jim
would
that
be
question,
interesting.
that's a good question.
And our
That's a very
restaurants
good
are on that
question.
water.
Well,
Maybe
that's-
we can take that money and put it toward that, some of our money or funding,
Yeah, that 400.
and test the municipal water.
Yeah, I don't see why not, I'll talk
So
to
I'm
Jim
just
about it.
curious, I know that it's interesting, I've heard from Aquarian, like they won't release who all is on their water system, it's like a safety thing, but, so I don't know how many people are
Well, we-
served by that well
I
versus
wonder-
the other.
But we could certainly test
far
town
as
hall, that's gotta
I
be a good
understand-
example of whatever it is in town.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as I understand, public municipal water suppliers like Aquarian are supposed to post their results online.
Oh,
So, yeah, you know. check to
I
see.
did not know that, so we can
I
look it
don't
up.
know.
all right, let me know if you find that, and then I'll talk to Jim also about whether, just, might as well, for $100, we can get it tested and see what it's like.
Yeah,
and
oh,
add it to our
yeah.
list. here.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That
know,
Makes sense to everybody, everybody good with
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Great, that's a good idea, I mean, let's just do it, I mean,
yeah, right, talk to Mark, I would think.
Yeah, I'll ask Mark or Jim,
Just
yeah.
see, and and because it's Aquarian, they're supposed to report to us, I know up on the green, I've seen at the church that sometimes if there's an issue, they have to like post a note.
Yeah.
About something,
Yeah.
I forget what it said, something was high.
So, anything else about, you, we're good there, great?
Yeah,
You're gonna follow up and I'll talk to Jim about testing here and,
Mhm.
Great. And the river so far is great, that's good.
Mhm.
Ambulance building update, we've been, I met with the ambulance committee meeting, the ambulance committee with the architect last month. We had a long talk about their, work they're doing, the energy efficiency, work that they're doing, because that's something we were, we really wanted to know. The, architect did send out a more up-to-date, I didn't think to bring it, but up-to-date list of the equipment that they're putting in. A number of the people on the committee had questions for them because they know what they're talking about, and I don't really know that stuff. So that was great. And they are also, so I feel like we're moving in the right direction with them. They had some good stuff going already. We're just trying to make sure the things they have are the best way to go for us. And they mentioned after we get the building up that the area, and I've talked to Jim about this already, that the location of the ambulance building and the amount of sun they get and the flat roof, that a solar array would make sense up there. But we need to wait until we see where everything is, where all the rooftop units are, so that we can plan something, but that's something we're gonna look at. And they're working closely now, and this isn't so much on our stuff, but with Peter Bowman as our building inspector to make sure that they're meeting all the proper standards. So we're gonna be meeting with them shortly again as a follow-up. They had a very ambitious timeline in place, which we've all now realized is gonna, I'm hoping we'll go out to bid before the, sometime in the fall, maybe, but the goal had been originally to try to go out to bid this month, but there's too many things to do, a lot of stuff to go through. Besides meeting with people like Peter and making sure all the, we decided as a group and that it makes sense to take our time. Let's get it right, rather than trying to rush it out just so we can get the building, done. It's gonna last for 50 years, and a couple extra months is not gonna,
I think that's very good.
so that's what we're doing there.
Good.
Any other updates on any items? Well, I'll update on, we had that meeting in town here on the wake boat, that group, Paravigilus, is that what they did a presentation here for us. There was actually, you could log on and watch it, and we had out there, and a lot of people did. And they presented the results of that survey. I believe it's posted now on the town website.
I think I saw a link.
Yeah, so you could see it there. It was interesting. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there were a lot of people who don't live on the lake that did
That was the
participate
thing
in the survey.
That surprised me.
And there was a high
That's
number of
good.
people
That
that
is
were
good.
concerned about the safety on the lake with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And it
that's
wasn't
good.
just the wake boats either. Some people also expressed concern about the jet skis out there. I know for me, in a kayak and a jet ski gets close, that's not a pleasant thing. Can't imagine.
Try it on a paddleboard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't.
Yeah,
So,
right.
they are starting, they'll be here, I believe it's this month to start,
Right, but
their
the
testing.
testing and then the study is in the fall.
Yeah,
right?
they'll do some testing throughout the year. And then, we'll get a report in the fall
Good.
with what their results are.
Oh,
And then,
this fall.
yes, this fall.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get a report this fall, and then, we'll go from there. I know what I think will happen, but we'll see what their results
Yeah.
are, and then we'll take appropriate action from there. How's that?
That's
Pretty
good.
Pictures of all the spikes pulled out.
Yeah. So, any other updates that anybody has? Yes, Michelle.
I have a couple of things.
Oh, great.
One, Garden Palooza at Judy Black Park, May 18th, sustainability is signed up to do a table again. I can do it, but I didn't know if anyone else
What
wanted
time?
to come. It's like normal farmer's market type. It's 9 or 10 in the morning and it's for a couple hours. They are, I forget who it is that is coming to do a big thing about the bees and pollinators. So that's really
Oh.
exciting, yeah.
Maybe I like to see-
And there's
be
the
awesome.
garden, so there'll be flowers for sale, but also educational, and that's usually when I bring out the invasive stuff and I think last year we did no mow, but actually people are also really interested in the composting. They were more interested in talking about the composting at the transfer station than any of the invasive stuff I had.
Do that.
So, which is my next thing I wanted to talk about, I know I had spoken with you, Jay, because Judy Black was talking about. You know, wondering if they could offer composting at the farmer's market, and we had talked about, at one point, about offering compost containers out. Back here behind town hall to make it more convenient for people.
Like we have a transportation.
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
here.
but here.
The difficulty we had with here is just that we have to be able to, because we're not gonna leave them outside for, and at least I didn't feel, leaving them outside here at night was a concern, so you have to bring them back
We
in.
have those bear boxes.
Well, so I called them and asked
Yeah.
about it, got some
Oh,
pricing,
great.
which I thought the pricing was a little higher than what we're paying
We can look
now,
into that.
so.
Yeah.
So maybe the business office could look at that, but I asked about unattended. It says, we have the following locations with unmanned carts and closing mechanisms. So they listed, they have. They pick up from Parks, Warren has a drop off, they put theirs in a bear-proof cart, that's not theirs.
That would be-
Cranberry Park, Rowayton Park, Fox Valley Park, Townhouse, so there are a lot of places where they have it out. Unattended, but.
But
and we
it's the
talk-
time you just lift it up and.
Yeah, but there are holes drilled for a lock, so we had talked
No,
about like putting a combination. Like a word or numbers, but writing the combination on the lid, so it's for
For the bear
humans,
Yeah, right.
right? So the animals can get into it.
Human puts,
That's
the
even
bear
more
puts
smart.
on his glass.
I know.
I can't
Right?
see the number.
Or if it's a key lock, you just hang the key right on the containers,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So you can do that,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's enough to keep it bear proof, but,
No, I'd be willing, I know we've talked about trying that, I'd be more than willing to
Yeah.
do that, and I think if Judy Black is willing to have one there.
well, so they talked about either having one there or like. If there's one or two out here, bringing one to the farmer's market and wheeling it back or whatever works, working
Yeah.
together. The idea is to just make it accessible and make sure people are aware.
Interesting.
And they
Good.
also,
Well,
Giving
Jim was also-
other people another reason to come to the farmer's market. If they keep compost at home, that they could just drop off there.
Yeah, and if we had them here, they could drop them off anytime. That's-
Right.
anytime,
yeah.
see, that's,
And-
the thing that's tough about the transfer station is if you're working Saturdays.
They value away.
Not open very.
It's only open on Saturday,
and
that's
the-
not business hours, it's like
Right.
9 to 2 or something.
Yeah,
And coupled with that, the glass issue, I've been talking with that company about placing a glass container
Here,
here that you could
So
use.
it's-
Right,
People could
right.
use here, and I know I've talked to Jim and he's finally putting it out there. Let me talk to Jim too about, we could do something like a bear-proof, container. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim's building, one of the guys can build that kind of thing for us.
I
talk to
think they
Jim
make
for-
them, I
Well,
know.
Sarah Giamet, do you know her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
She says, she's talking about current bear-proof containers. The current containers have blasted lids with no bear-proof locks. And she's advocating for bear-proof, like dumpster kind of things.
for,
I'm calling a hearing and a verbal quote of approximately $250 per bin to replace current containers with bear-proof containers. But maybe there's something that I could tap into her about.
yeah,
with,
sure. You can send me some
composting.
information too.
well, and Warren apparently is using a bear-proof cart.
Yeah.
And they wrote here, it's not theirs, so they could either provide
Well, let me
one
ask her. about-
or,
yeah.
use a bear-proof.
Yeah.
So whatever they're using in Warren might
Yeah.
also work
just
here.
curious, but what would happen with that compost? Would it go up to the transfer station, then go out? with
I
that?
would think they just pick it up here.
Pick it up
Yeah,
here
so
instead.
that-
Oh,
I-
same pickup
Yeah,
person?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Same, the same, yes.
They just
So-
do it in the same,
Which, by the way, so I have my notes, when I was talking to them, Frederick Gun School has added a stop. They are now composting with the same company that we're
Yeah.
using. And, they have 4 32-gallon containers, they upped it to 6 containers because they needed more, and those containers are about 100 pounds each of
Yeah.
food scrap, so I thought that
Not
was
su-
pretty
Not
exciting.
surprised with how many kids they're feeding,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you have that stuff set up
Yeah.
right there.
Right,
that's
so,
fantastic.
I mean, it just made me think
Yeah.
about like the restaurants
Yeah.
that we have and trying to, you know, if we put something out back. That might be easier for them to participate in, because right now, they're
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
not gonna go to the transfer, they're either open. or they're-
I'm sure
Right.
they have a commercial
Yeah.
person picking their stuff up anyway.
Right, right.
Yeah, but the compost, if they were to set it aside.
Yeah.
You know, they would need to
And this is just strictly food waste, right?
food,
Food waste.
Okay.
Yep.
So
BPI products, so, you know, compostable cups and forks.
Yeah,
And thing, you know.
okay,
bam,
okay, yeah,
As long as.
but we're not
BPI
talking grass cuttings, leaves, branches, things like that. That's what would go up at the transfer station, right? Where they would try to
If
turn
we
that
ever-
into soil?
If we got to when we're able to do our own composting, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Right now, it's not, you know, it's just food waste that's
Food
collecting.
scrap.
okay.
Right, because they don't take the. And as Dean said, don't we live in the woods? I mean, that was Dean's- I mean, that's where I put my leaves, so if I need,
Right,
now I mulch them. though.
We
I
mulch
don't, I don't.
Put them back into your grass.
I'm gonna talk to Jim and Mark about a way and take a walk with them back here to see about a way we
Right.
can
Yeah,
set some
that's a good
stuff up.
plan.
I think it would be great if we could find a way, like even the recycle bag thing be out there in a little, you know, section there that we have it covered.
Oh, if it's covered.
Covered that we could put out there with the food scrap and. Well, the bottle thing would be a bigger, I asked them actually for a half the size that we have up at
Yeah,
the,
smaller,
yeah,
because we don't wanna create a whole nother transfer
No.
station behind town hall.
No.
But
I wanna keep it clean
a
and,
couple,
and, yeah,
but these are things that you can't put into the single stream recycling that's picked up,
right.
right? So that's a good way of sort of differentiating.
Yeah.
Why we're doing these and not.
Right, just regular,
Everything.
throw your garbage in this container.
Although we'd have to manage that. I mean, you think it's Steep Rock where you have the dog poop thing, people throwing in their everything, you know, you have to put up a sign, say this is just for dog poop, not. You know, that,
Yeah,
it happens.
no, it
Starbucks
happens,
cups.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
mean, hopefully people won't abuse it. They haven't had an issue at these other
Yeah.
unattended
that's great.
places where they collect.
Oh, great.
So,
All right, well,
That is
it's
good.
clear.
yeah.
Okay, I've got two more things I wanna do and I know Carol has to leave, so.
Oh, I kinda wanna,
Yeah, believe it
Go
or
ahead.
should I talk about the Barbara Braverman and Alan Braverman, wanted us, came to talk to us about it, starting a petition for, a noise ordinance.
Well, that was one, that's.
That was
the-
the
It's on the
Yeah.
agenda. I have.
So-
to add
So
that
we-
too.
We met with, oh, did you wanna talk about, we met with Jim.
Yeah.
Karen Silk and I met with Jim and,
Yep,
you know, basically, a petition is kind of it's not gonna work. I mean, who are you gonna give it to and what's gonna happen then? And I thought, how do we create a culture where people are talking to the lawnmower people? And provide an incentive for people to use less invasive equipment and how do we start creating that culture?
Well, I think we talked about that a little bit. If they are registered in the town of Washington, they pay taxes on their equipment.
Right.
So if we gave them a tax break, if they went to electric equipment or started, like they start now at 7 AM. And it goes on all day. So if we can incentivize them to start a little later, use electric, you know, convert to electric equipment. But that would only cover the people that are registered in the town,
Right.
but I imagine there's.
But we were also talking about how would we begin that whole process, and we're talking, finding out who are the people that do lawn service. And how can we bring them in and have a conversation or a forum for them, and what do we do, set up? Do we talk to the Washington Business Association and have them, do they have a beat on who are these businesses that do this lawn work, or how do we find out who these people are? and
I
how
know,
do-
I could just ask, I mean, they're at every house on the street, on
Mhm,
West Shore Road, and there's a lot of different companies, they're
Yeah.
not all
Right.
this, you know, they don't do.
Right, right.
Oh, the line of
start
trucks.
Everybody has their own
Towns.
We're gonna start gathering information
Yeah.
and then bring
And have a meeting. with them.
and have a forum with them and also with community, or maybe set out, we thought of maybe setting out a survey I don't know who would fund this, asking people, but I don't know, you'd have to be careful what you ask and how you ask it.
Well, one of the
I mean,
things
I
that's
can start on
interesting
it.
is, I brought this is Brookfield's ordinances around.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
I should have, I didn't make some copies, but they have whole things here about, and they don't, don't, you know, here's the exclusions, natural phenomenon, so whatever that is. Any bell or chime from any building, clock, school, or church, that's
Yeah,
a, you know,
that's it.
any siren, so on. Warning devices required by OSHA, noise required, created by emergency vehicles and that kind of things.
That's comforting.
But they do have, you know, they have, you know, because the state says you can't regulate lawn care places. But they have times on here when you can work and not. And I talked to the Brookfield Police and there's, I think it's, I have to look in here again, 7:30 to 7:30 daytime hours. Monday through Saturday, Saturday's hours are 10 to 7. So it's not, you can't legally do that. But in talking to the police in Brookfield, they all comply with that. They all stay by those, you know, agree with those rules, the landscaping companies. And I have a friend who lives over in Kent, and he said, we were talking about this, and he said the same thing, that they don't have any guidelines, but everybody in town knows you don't start doing that until I think 7:30, it could even be 8 o'clock over there. But all the landscaping companies, and I'm sure there's some that work in our town that work over there, but over there, they all kind of agree.
So how do we get that
So I
going?
think that's the thing, and talking to our, you know, your neighbors, or talking to the people who live here, to tell the companies, I don't want you starting before 7:30. You know, in the morning, if 7:30 is the time, 8 o'clock, you can go, whatever, you know, but,
I would say.
Right, right.
well, I'd rather, I'm
Right.
trying not to push it, but I don't
I
disagree
know.
with you.
Well, and
Maybe
that's,
say 8:30 and we can compromise at 8.
Right, yeah.
So, but this,
But I think you're right, how do we,
this is people with permits, right?
well, they're businesses,
Businesses.
they're registered businesses. It's what, you know, I mean, we can get that can't be that hard, I mean.
Well,
we
that's
know-
what I thought. We get a list of businesses and start having conversations with them. I mean, our neighbor problem is a whole other thing, because it's not a business, it's a neighbor.
Yeah,
And he has equipment,
yeah,
industrial equipment, but that's a whole other issue. But how do we get this conversation started so it becomes our culture?
well, and I talked to Barbara Braverman for a while about it too, and I think part of it is. You know, I didn't realize you could go against state statute,
Well-
which says that we can't limit them by time, but if we encourage and promote the use of electric, it just makes it so much better, it's so much more pleasant, that I would be less worried about the time, because it's not gonna bother you as much anyway. So I feel like starting that campaign, and I brought actually a sample of so this is from our regs, Jay, which we
Yeah.
gotta fix this, I think.
That policy that,
Well, this is an ordinance, I was looking for a similar, so this is a property tax exemption for solar energy systems. And I was like, oh, so we could just mimic, you know,
Right.
very next one, property tax exemption for. You know, battery powered
Right.
equipment. But then I was also reading this exemption for solar energy systems, which was really cool. It was passed in 1977.
Uh-huh.
And it says it is applicable to any building or addition or to a building. The construction of which commenced on or before 1976. Wait, after 1976, but before 1991. So these systems
now
Are-
yeah,
done.
right,
like
now
that's-
they're not, I know,
They're obsolete.
they kind of
they're-
eliminated it afterwards, yeah.
right,
So, but
I
it's
don't know
still on
why.
our books.
Yeah, well, we're going through them all, and that's
I
probably one
know,
that we have,
but do we wanna renew it,
or, yeah, well, that's what our question is
right?
with all,
Solar
anything that we
energy,
have,
Do we
yeah.
wanna continue to incentivize
Yep.
and go beyond that and like,
include the things that are relevant now, yeah.
yeah,
But it'd
right?
be-
So,
But it'd be like that's one incentive for any company that's in town to get a tax break on their property equipment,
yes,
Right,
for the battery, it
Right.
wouldn't be the same one.
right?
Uh,
No, I
right, but-
understand,
but
it,
it's
but
an
that's,
example of-
that's what we could do for those
Mhm.
companies that work here, but the other ones that don't and all go to Kent and go to Brookfield that don't, and that start later.
They
it seems
comply
like-
there, so they're
yes,
used to it.
Yeah,
So if we were to put forward an ordinance, so this is an ordinance,
Yep,
and it would have to go to a town meeting,
Mhm,
which is an opportunity to have a conversation
exactly.
about the noise, why to do this,
Yeah.
you know, the pollution, the noise,
Mhm.
all of that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And we could promote it.
Yeah.
As like the jump
put this
start,
in
and then after
2001.
that,
Yeah,
write letters,
go
you know,
over it,
I don't know,
define it.
Keep talking about it. I
Yeah,
mean, at
keep
least we
talking
have
about
a
it.
place
but.
and just keep
But
talking.
we would
about it.
have to really advocate for that ordinance
Yeah.
that would happen at a town meeting and.
Yep.
So
Well-
Brookfield has ordinances that do not necessarily comply with the state.
Well, they haven't, this is their ordinance, and I've talked to them about it, it does not. It does give an exemption to lawn care, from the noise created by lawn care and maintenance equipment.
Oh,
But it does not give them an exemption from when they start and when they have to stop. Those things that's what's in their ordinance, and they can, that
That they-
That
So
they
they
have
can
to
still
comply
use
with.
gasoline powered.
Yeah, what's that?
Equipment.
Yes, but
Yes.
not until 7:30 and stop at,
Right.
7:30,
And is
so.
it, and it's obviously enforceable?
Well,
mean,
the
what
cop I
happens?
talked to, policeman I talked to, and this was last year, basically said they don't have any trouble with that. I mean,
Okay.
nobody, whether, but it's been in place since 2001, so it's something that people have, it's
Oh,
been
you
there.
know
Yeah,
about
And
it.
that's what people understand, and maybe just the people who
You probably don't even know there's a state statute.
But how did they how did they begin the whole, that'd be an interesting conversation. How did they start this?
Two
whole
thousand
process?
one, I don't know who
Yeah,
you talked to.
yeah, yeah.
what were the times again?
7:30 to 7:30,
On
and then on
weekdays.
Monday through Friday?
Monday through Saturday, actually, theirs is, and on Sunday it's 10 AM to 7:30.
Okay,
So they have a little bit of, might not be the times we wanna use, but they do.
no,
And I said, well, I told them that, it's kind of, it's not,
Mhm.
Don't
The
most
state-
of those guys operate within an 8-hour day though?
well, it's
Already?
the
Maybe
starting
not.
time, and if they get 3 days of rain. You're working as soon as and then it stops, these guys are working,
Right.
yeah, that it's weather dependent, and so they'll
Sometimes.
play catch up, they'll start super early.
so.
I can just let you know that they take care of the lawn stuff at the beginning of their shift, whoever comes in at the school, and it is early,
Well, that's interesting,
early.
and it's not the town that does that, is it? the
I
town?
don't think so, I don't know. There's the school maintenance guy who does some of it, and then the town hires out the rest of it, but they
I
start.
mean, so we talked about businesses and trying to identify them and talking with them.
Mhm.
It's also talking to the people who employ them to say,
Right.
it's one thing if you live in the middle of the woods, but if you're living in a neighborhood or living on a street where there's a lot of people, then you should,
Well, Barbara Brennan said that they have talked to neighbors and they have, some of the workers already have some battery powered
I think we
equipment
do.
and they were willing to work. I mean, it was not a closed conversation. It was an open conversation. I thought, well, good, there's motivation here then.
Well, and when I was talking to Barbara, I feel that if we were to approach these businesses, we should say, hey, you could promote yourself as the quiet lawn care,
Exactly,
because your
yeah.
own
Exactly.
clients don't wanna hear it,
Right.
right? They don't wanna hear you at 7 in the morning either,
Right.
so I think, if we just start the conversation,
Yeah.
we don't have to be punitive.
No, no,
well,
no.
I
but
think
it'd
we
be a
did an
plus,
article,
more
if I
business
remember
for you.
correctly, last year, and
Yeah, we did.
we put something out there about be kind to your neighbors kind of thing,
Right.
and said, hey, pay attention, but we need to do that again, but.
See, that, it makes me think of the No Idle campaign. Education, if you could talk to people about going electric for their mowing and leaf blowing.
Yeah.
I think you'd essentially get to ground zero anyway, because you're not gonna eliminate the service.
Of course.
The best you can do, it would be great if you could really stringently control their hours, but that's gonna be harder than talking them into going electric. It would seem to me, so if you had a campaign like we have for No Idle, but instead,
Bye,
just
Carol.
call it battery powered lawns or whatever. I think the education aspect of that. is
So
to
how do we
make it
start
aware.
that? I mean, I
How
think
do we
there's two
start that, I
sides.
think?
One is in companies and the other one is with people who
I think we started with proposing an ordinance, which requires
And
a
have a
town meeting.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
agree.
you know, we have flyer, we make a
That's a good,
display.
that's a
We
really
bring
good
a
place to
leaf
start.
blower and we bring a decibel reader, I don't know, we do whatever we need to do. And start the conversation
Agreed.
there and then let it, you know, then go see where we need to go. from there.
And so,
See
so
what
that.
kind of pushback or traction
Right.
we get.
So it becomes something, well, people are conscious of this, people are thinking about it, and so. Maybe you're thinking twice before turning on your engine, or, hiring somebody who comes at 6 a.m.
I do think that we have to be very mindful that we're not coming across as too heavy-handed.
yeah, sure.
You
Oh, I
know,
agree.
like,
I
like
totally
as
agree.
No, we're trying
as
to
your
work into
equipment
this.
Right.
ages
Yeah,
out, like,
right,
we're not
exactly.
requiring you
We
do
don't-
this
Right,
now.
exactly.
Right, we're not looking
like-
for.
No, we'll
right.
get pushback
I
on
mean,
that.
we're just saying
and
that
it'll
with the
defeat our
town, as
purpose.
we, look at equipment, Mark's buying electric, we're buying an electric truck for Mark, so we're trying to, as
Right.
things age out, we're trying to
Yeah.
replace them, and that's
So-
what we're looking to
That's
do
what I
here,
thought
so
about
that's
a
a good
public
point.
relations campaign is like moving landscapers towards electric.
Right,
provide
and
them incentive.
incentivizing
Right.
it with
Yeah.
property tax
Right.
exemption.
Well, especially
Yeah.
for people, yeah, like I said, in town, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's like a, just, you know, so.
I think
You know what,
future
I'm curious
plan.
about this. I'm gonna go to Litchfield Ace Hardware, the still dealer there. Is a really big landscape
Yeah.
guy. And he's done chainsaw work, so I'll talk to him, and cause some of the feedback you get is. They don't have machines, battery powered weed whackers that are commercial weight, commercial duty.
Yeah.
That work, and I wanna find out if they do or they don't, because
That's
I
great.
have a feeling. They might, I don't know.
I think it's about, I mean, when I looked, I have a electric weed whacker, for example, and I get a couple of, maybe an hour and a half out of the battery, but I'm doing a small area, I don't need any more than that.
yeah.
Otherwise, if you're a landscaper, you gotta carry around 6 batteries to get you through the
Yeah,
day,
right,
that is
right.
not
It has to
cheap.
be practical.
How,
And
yeah,
then you have to have 6 battery chargers overnight to be able to
it
charge.
would help me to find out about how difficult it is. If you ask somebody to do that today, could our landscapers go out and convert electric? How much would that put them out?
Right, but I
I
think,
mean,
yeah,
could they achieve it? Could they do the jobs that they do with the equipment that's available to them?
right, that's a good question.
If they
Before
really,
we try to, yeah.
if they keep
Yeah,
telling
what's
me,
out there?
no, that the machinery's not strong enough
Right,
yet, or
we're all
whatever.
thinking as homeowners, that is a
Right,
real good
that's a good
point.
Yeah.
point, so let's,
You know,
So-
if you would
is
do
it-
that, that'd
is
be
it
great.
Viable
Okay.
as a
I think
commercial-
that's a real good
Yeah,
point.
I
And-
think
and
we're all
it's-
moving in the right direction though with that initiative to go electric, even for for the lawn people, even if they can't use the mowers that way, because we just had a bunch of construction done and they were all cordless. Everything they did, they had battery chargers. That's the first thing they did. They set them up and then they just were using them regularly. I think that would affect the no idle campaign though, because they'd probably have to leave their truck running to keep the battery converter.
There's always
Use.
something.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know. They said,
How did the homeowner lets you plug in and charge?
Yeah.
I have
That's
outdoor
true.
outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's a nice
true.
idea.
Generator. Yeah,
Well, no, not a generator, I mean, no, but that's noisy, that's kind of defeats the purpose.
That's a
right?
combustion engine. Yeah.
Right, but an outdoor outlet on your house, so that the battery for the
Right.
next house is charging.
So I think it's, going back to what you suggested, I think it does, before we can look at starting an ordinance, but I think we have to be able to know that,
We should do more
that,
research.
that a
need to
landscaping
do
company can actually switch and it will work for them.
yeah, it's
I
practical.
know what you mean with drills and even nail guns and all that stuff, people, that works in a construction and those guys love those things.
Yeah, I know, they're
It's
awesome.
great,
Love my
mhm,
cordless
yeah,
drill.
so, Hugh, you
Yeah.
look into that and
I'll
then
see what
let's
they-
talk about that next
know,
time too, so
maybe
we
they're,
so we
you know,
follow up.
who knows, we could offer an incentive, go to.
Well, I think the other
Hardware,
It must be possible because California
is
has said they have outlawed 2-cycle engines.
is it now, or as I thought
I
there
think
was?
it's a phase-in, I
Yeah.
think, I'm
Yeah, I
not
think
sure,
so.
but
Let's
the
check.
entire state They must have commercial landscapers.
Right, they have a few of them, I
I
imagine.
don't know, nothing grows in California.
So in that,
Except all our food.
Very
I
dry.
know, right? So I'm guessing it's possible, but like, how hard is it?
Right,
Is
right.
it readily available? I don't
No,
know.
those are good-
Because
I mean, you know,
California did
The
it. I'm sure
commercial
more.
duty that would do the job might be available, but what if it costs 10 times more than the
Right,
gas powered
right,
plant? You know,
that's not,
Right.
yeah,
I gotta put
right.
$15,000 into a leaf blower? I
Right.
don't know.
And I don't think we're looking for them to do that.
No,
Yeah.
so,
So just to be clear, if anybody reads or listens to our meeting.
no, right.
The other thing though, we can do, I think, and that's something I think we could do more, is encouraging homeowners to buy that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When you're doing your stuff, because
Yeah.
not everybody has a landscaper coming
Right.
out there and you're still doing stuff around your house. And I think that's something we could really,
Yep.
to talk about. We can't really give them an incentive to buy that equipment, because I don't think you're gonna get a tax break on buying your leaf blower at home, but,
Well, it's not taxed.
yeah. What's that?
As a homeowner, it's not
Right,
taxed.
right,
It's
right.
only as a business. And yeah, it pains me. I did that for the leaf blower,
We-
but my lawnmower isn't dead yet. So that doesn't seem very sustainable to get rid of a perfectly
Well, and then.
adequate or working
Lawnmower.
lawnmower.
Yeah, right.
So I won't replace it with anything but electric, but yeah. So that's-
So how do we go, let's, I don't want, it's getting over my time limit, but in terms of, we did do some stuff, I remember we had somebody in town was complaining about our buying a gas, an electric blower for town. And Jim did a bunch of research
did a
on
lot.
all of the benefits and how they work and the noise levels, so I'll
Not
put
to
that up
mention the
again.
pollution.
And we can use that as one of the, just
Yeah.
put something together for the selectmen's newsletter as a. Just, here's some information, think about this, it's a good.
Well, and it
No,
was
yeah,
an
get it out there.
article, I think I did that one,
Yeah.
the noise one.
Yeah,
And leaf blowers, but it's noise and pollution. The
Right.
2 cycle, it was.
A lot of heavy metals in the
outrageous.
exhaust.
It was
yeah.
outrageous, the pollution
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a 2 cycle engine.
think
So
I
we
have-
did that in the quarterly newsletter, like maybe in the fall, but maybe we just rework it,
Yeah,
get some
yeah.
different graphics,
Yeah.
it's basically
Send it
the
out.
same thing.
Yeah, I think repetition is
It's
important.
gonna be long-term.
Yeah,
It is.
It has to look different, but it has to be the same.
Yeah, all right,
just make it fresh.
Make it
Good.
fresh.
all right, where are we here? Last thing I just want people to think about, so. We have some actions going on now, and we sort of talked about some. More work on things like,
The water
the
testing.
water testing, converting people over to electric. As some new items, but I wanted to just start of the new year in a couple of months, our July is actually our, start of our new fiscal year. So I just wanted to have people think about, are there other areas that we wanna move forward on? In addition to trying to continue to educate people on the things we're doing now. So I'm not asking you to come up with something now, but I just want you to think about it and we put it on our agenda for next time. As or where are we not doing enough on the things we've done already, what can we do better? Better on? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that
Put that
does
in.
remind me, so when I saw that on the agenda, I just thought, oh. Cause we had talked about getting recertified. I think the second deadline is August.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. It's just not,
I just don't think I have the bandwidth to do the paperwork
yeah, I
for it.
don't have the.
Like most of, like, we're, except for the. Equity, except for those, we probably could find enough stuff that we've
Yeah.
already done, it's
Yeah.
really just the paperwork.
Right. and
You
it's a lot of-
Documenting it, writing it up, submitting the pictures and the links. Which is doable,
yeah.
but
Well,
Jay?
yes,
Does the town have any plans on invasives this year? We've got some ideas collaborating with the town, but I didn't know if the town was looking at an intern or I haven't talked to Susie at the Conservation Commission, but we're gearing up for the summer and just,
yes.
we made
I-
some headway last year. It's gonna be in the POCD. So I'm wondering if we could plan ahead for this year.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Brian. I have had some discussion with the folks up at the ag program. And they had, I told them that we were looking for an intern to do that work on town property. And, I need to go follow up on where that ended up, because,
Cause didn't we have it budgeted for this year and we couldn't find anybody?
right, but we can do it for next year, and I know, I'd asked Jim to send that, Brian, you had sent us, did you, we have a job description for it that we had from last year. And I know, Brian, you had offered to do training with the person, so that's what we were looking at. So let me, follow up on that, thanks for reminding me.
This is an intern to maintain town property?
Well, the first step, as Brian has pointed out, is to find out what do you have? Do an inventory on the town properties of what evasives we actually have, so that we can then make a plan to deal with it.
Oh, so
but
it's
until you-
invasive.
Yeah, invasives,
Okay,
yeah.
so I
Until
didn't
you
catch
know what you have, you really,
Right,
you
right.
can't, you know, so
Yeah,
that
no,
makes
sure.
sense to me.
Yeah.
And we tried last year to get an intern and we didn't, and I know conservation had a student do work on, but it was just on that one on that one property over in, on 202 there. So we need somebody to look at all the other properties on town, so that's what we're
Yeah.
looking for.
One of the things that we did last year with our interns was we mapped all the knotweed along the Chippewa that's in our preserve. So we mapped knotweed in about 8 miles of the preserves. And if we could finish that with the town, then we might be able to look at kind of a town-wide effort to tackle knotweed, the impossible dream. But with the zombie plant, but you know, we could start to tackle spots, but it's just the problem if we're not doing anything at the town level.
Right,
So,
okay,
you know, I think that's we could seek some collaborative funding that way too.
great, I will,
You know, it seems to me, it like. Focusing on one, when you just say invasives, it seems so overwhelming and sort of hard to wrap your brain around all of it, like how
Yeah.
do we get rid of all of it? But if we had like a concerted effort on knotweed, like for a couple of years or whatever, working Steep Rock, the town, neighborhoods. You know, maybe we can make some headway instead of just continually throwing out this sort of elusive,
Right,
we're gonna work on invasives.
Yeah.
don't buy that stuff anymore, you know, I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, right, I mean, I don't know,
All
I
right.
don't know, I like.
Thanks,
I like
Brian.
the
I will
idea.
follow up on that, and I'll keep you in the loop on that. Find out, because I know where I left it. It wasn't with me, so I have to go back to the
Good.
person I asked to do that. Anyway, great. Anything else people have to come before the committee before we adjourn? Thanks, everybody. So good night, good discussion.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah.
keep going at it. Thank you. And the
Thank you.
meeting's adjourned at 6:16, I guess.